Comic-Con 2019, the MCU announced their Phase 4. In this video, I want to rank from least anticipated to most anticipated my feelings of MCU Phase 4. How would you rank it from least anticipated to most anticipated? Let's talk in the comments. Welcome to Durbania. I'm Durbin, and this is my ranking of least anticipated to most anticipated of MCU Phase 4. They just announced their Phase 4 projects. I'm super excited to dive into this and talk about the MCU Phase 4 and where are they going in the future. How would you rank this? Let's talk in the comments. Before we dive into that, I put this question to my patrons on Patreon. I asked them, so what are you anticipating the most out of this? And here's what some of them had to say. Sarah posted, I'm really only looking forward to the next Doctor Strange. Sadly, this lineup isn't very exciting to me, but hopefully these movies will be good. Sarah, I gotta agree with you a little bit there because there wasn't any one project on this list that jumped out to me as super exciting and I'm beyond anticipating. I mean, it's the MCU. They've earned the right to take my money. I mean, I thought Guardians of the Galaxy was gonna be them jumping the shark, and it is now like my favorite movie and has my favorite characters. Like, I love Guardians of the Galaxy. So even though like there's things here that like initial look I'm not super excited about, I know it's the MCU and they do great work, so I am looking forward to checking it out. Britton said, I'm really only excited for Shang Chi. Those comics were fun and I'm interested to see how they pull off the fight scenes in the movie. Would love to see throwback style fight scenes from a Shaw Brothers movies. Of the Disney Plus stuff, I would say the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but I cannot rationalize signing up for another streaming service right now. I feel you right there, Brayton. It's hard to rationalize signing up for another streaming service. I'm already signed up for 3, and I thought that was plenty, and now everybody wants their own streaming service, and it's like, oh, come on. I am going to give Disney Plus a chance because I do want to check out some of these shows coming up in the MCU Phase 4 and all of that, but yeah, I know, it's kind of weird. Everybody has to have a streaming service. So as I dive into my ranking, you're going to find my top 5 least anticipated things are all the TV shows. And the reason is, I'm not feeling superhero fatigue towards movies, I'm feeling it towards TV shows. I kind of got burned with all the CW shows, just kind of tired of all the soap opera drama mixed in with my superhero stuff, so I was like, you know what, I'm kind of done with that right now. When it comes to these shows, other than Daredevil seasons 1 through 3, which I thought was just absolutely awesome, I kind of got tired of it, so I'm not super anticipating the shows. Nonetheless, there's interesting features to these shows. So here we go. Number 10, What If, coming out summer of 2011. Animated show, sounds kind of interesting. I mean, the concept being, well, what if this happened instead of that? What if this character didn't do this instead of that? I don't know, like, the concept is kind of interesting. It just doesn't have me super excited. Number 9, WandaVision, spring 2021. I don't really care that much about the WandaVision relationship in the MCU. I know they're together in the comics and stuff, but even watching Infinity War, like when they're in the hotel room and she's like, what's the matter, Viz?
Viz?
Like, why do you call him Viz? It's Vision. You don't need a shortened Viz. It's not like a pet name to call him Viz. Something about that just irritates me. I don't know why. It's just like that particular line. What's going on, Viz? Viz, Viz. I don't know why calling her calling him Viz just irritates me, but it gets under my skin. Though I will say that scene where she has to destroy the Mind Stone in his forehead and he's saying, I love you, and Thanos is coming and she's got tears streaming down her face. Yeah, that was a solid good moment. I will be checking out the show. I'm just not really anticipating it. Number 8, Hawkeye, fall of 2021. I like Jeremy Renner. And I like action. And I'm going to assume Hawkeye is going to give me some good action, and, you know, Jeremy Renner's pretty awesome. Unless it turns out to be a family comedy sitcom, because, you know, he's got a family. So, like, I'm curious to see what they're going to do with Hawkeye, where they're going to place this, and what they're going to do with his character in this show. But yeah, that's probably one of the shows I'm more looking forward to. Number 7, Loki, spring of 2021. Not gonna lie, Tom Hiddleston is the reason that I am the most excited about that show. Love his portrayal of Loki. I think it's interesting we're doing the multiverse, so it's the version of him that grabbed the cube and disappeared. So what happened to him in Endgame when he grabbed the cube in that one scene in the lobby and vanished? So I'm curious to see what they're gonna do with that in this multiverse and where they're gonna take Loki. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier Fall 2020. This is the series that I am the most anticipating, and of the TV stuff they got coming out, is the one I'm the most looking forward to. It's because when you watch, you know, Bucky Barnes and Sam together, they are just so flippin' great.
Can you move your seat up? No.
You couldn't have done that earlier?
I hate you.
I think they're hysterical. I think they're gonna do really well together. I can't wait to see Sam as the new Captain America. I can't wait to see their chemistry on screen together, and I can't wait to see where they're gonna take that. So of all the TV shows, this is probably gonna be my, you know, Daredevil of the MCU Phase 4, like the one that I'm most looking forward to and the one that I have like the most hope for. Number 5, Black Widow. So in terms of films, this is probably the one I'm least anticipating. Well, obviously it is because I placed it here and the others are above it. There's something about it that doesn't completely hold my interest, but I'm looking at IMDb and I'm looking at the cast list, and I know a lot of people are excited about the villain Taskmaster joining. I don't have a ton of knowledge about that character, but he looks cool and he sounds cool. But what got me really interested was looking at David Harbour's role. He's playing this character Alexei, the Red Guardian, which I guess is the Russian version of Captain America. So I just did like real basic research, but the most interesting tidbit that I found was this. The KGB arranged for Alexei to marry famous ballerina Natasha Romanoff, who eventually joined the Red Room Academy and became Black Widow. Now that is fascinating. I don't know if that's the history they're gonna give them in the MCU and in this movie, but I think what this shows is there's gonna be some history here between Alexei and Natasha Romanoff. So I'm curious to see David Harbour added to the MCU. Is he gonna be further here in the MCU, and what they're gonna do with that relationship between him and Natasha? And if he is further in the MCU, okay, so this Black Widow movie takes place between Civil War and Infinity War, so it's before Natasha gives her life. So if he's in future MCU movies and they have this kind of history, how does he deal with her sacrificing herself? So there's kind of this interesting element in throwing in David Harbour as this character Alexei. I don't know what they're gonna do with it. I don't even know if they are gonna give those two characters a history, but in reading that, I just found that very curious, and now I'm curious, what are they gonna do? Number 4, The Eternals. Sure, you could go look at the cast list and say that cast list is fantastic. So yes, that is one reason I'm looking forward to The Eternals. But man, I think Marvel's been knocking it out of the park with their cosmic storylines. Like, I like the Thor movies, especially the first Thor. It's one of my favorites. I love the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. So I feel like in terms of cosmic stuff and cosmic characters, they've planted a lot of seeds with the Celestials and things like that. And to hear that this movie is going to be like a human history storyline, and we're going to see how these Eternals have been here as a part of the whole of human history, this sounds incredibly interesting to me. I'm very curious, and I can't wait to see what this is all about. Number 3, Shang Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I know nothing about this dude and nothing about this character, but you know what I'm looking forward to? MCU superhero stuff with Kung Fu. Yes, I'm looking forward to that, but also the real Mandarin. They've talked about how the real Mandarin is stepping into the story here, and we're gonna see how this history has been here throughout the entire MCU already. You know, we had that fake Mandarin, that huge fake out in Iron Man 3.
My name's Trevor Slattery.
And now the Mandarin's not happy that his name was like used this way. And you have that in one of those Marvel one-shot shorts. I forget which Blu-ray it's on, but you know, I watched that and I thought that was interesting. It's like, okay, so there is a real Mandarin out there, and now they're following up on that and giving us the real Mandarin. So that's something I'm very curious about, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with that. Number 2, Thor, Love and Thunder. I think it's my familiarity with this character and this property now that puts this up as my number 2 most anticipated. I like the character of Thor. The first Thor movie is my favorite. I am happy Taika Waititi is returning to direct Thor 4. I know, I haven't had the most positive things to say about Thor Ragnarok, but that doesn't mean I don't appreciate the color and the humor and the things that Taika Waititi brought to it. I just kind of wish there was a better balance between the humor and the... Okay, I'm not going to get into that. I think it's kind of interesting that they're going to take Jane and have her be Thor. I haven't read the actual graphic novels where she becomes Thor. What has me kind of curious about it is Mjolnir is gone. Like, it's gone. Captain America returned it to its proper place in the timeline, which means at this point in the timeline, it's been destroyed by Thor's sister. So is this part of the multiverse? Is this a separate timeline where Mjolnir is around and then Jane in that timeline becomes Thor? So is this going to be a look at a different timeline, or is it in the prime timeline of the MCU that we know and love? And how does Mjolnir find its way into our prime timeline where Jane is worthy and becomes Thor? So I'm actually more interested in those questions being answered than I am in the character of Jane becoming Thor. So that's probably where my anticipation is. At the same time, I'm looking forward to what Taika Waititi's going to do with Thor, Love, and Thunder. I can't wait to see Chris Hemsworth return. Does that mean we're going to have the Guardians of the Galaxy in a little bit of this? Because the last time we saw Thor, he was taken off in the ship with the Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm curious as to the timeline of these events and what's going to be happening in this movie. Number 1, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. That title reminds me of the movie In the Mouth of Madness, which is a pretty good horror movie, and they said this is going to be the scariest of the MCU movies, and I'll believe that when I see that. But I really like Doctor Strange. I know everybody talks about that first movie being so formulaic and all that stuff, but I loved it, man. I thought the first Doctor Strange was really, really solid. I liked it a lot, and I love Benedict Cumberbatch in that role, and I like what he's brought to that role since then as he's truly become the master of magic. Now I'm very much looking forward to Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and then bringing Scarlet Witch into this, which I'm more curious about seeing her in this movie than I am about seeing her in the show WandaVision. Like, this just has me so much more interested. So I'm very excited to see this new Doctor Strange movie. I'm excited to see how the MCU is going to interpret the multiverse, because honestly, the CW with all their superhero shows, I just got so tired of the multiverse. Because these characters would have real impactful deaths, but they're not dead. They're just coming in from Earth 36. Woohoo! So they're different, but they're not. And now they're around. And it just, I got burned on that. I'm like, I'm tired of it. Quit it. It's just like you're undoing great things that you've done. And I don't think the MCU is going to do that. The MCU, like I said, has earned the right to take my money, and I'm looking forward to their interpretation of the multiverse. I love Doctor Strange, so I can't wait to see actually Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch team up in a MCU multiverse movie. That is probably the thing that sounds the most interesting to me out of their Phase 4 announcements. What is your least most anticipated and your most anticipated for MCU Phase 4? Let's talk about that in the comments. And while you're there, hit the subscribe button to become a Durbanian. Hit the bell by the subscribe button so you're notified for the very next time I do an MCU video, ranking video, theological analysis, movie review, trailer reaction, or anything else I do here. And if you like what I do here, you can check out my Patreon page. The link to that is in my description. I'm Durbin. Thanks for checking out Durbania.